The recruitment scanner hadn't malfunctioned in 17 standard cycles. Not once. Not even during that memorable incident when Candidate 492 tried to smuggle a plasma grenade through processing. The thing was supposedly military-grade, triple redundant and utterly incapable of error. So naturally, when the human girl walked past it, the machine lost its collective mind. I was standing 3 meters away, reviewing the morning's batch of disappointing cadets from the Outer Rim colonies. Most of them couldn't even manage basic gravity manipulation, let alone anything that would justify their pompous academy applications. My secondary eyes were tracking the datapad, while my primary eyes watched the flow of candidates through the processing gates. Standard morning routine. Boring as vacuum. Then the scanner started screaming. Not beeping, not alerting, screaming. The sound it made was somewhere between a dying starship engine and a wounded Krellbeast. All synthesized through speakers that were definitely not designed for that volume. Every head in the processing hall whipped around. Candidates froze mid-step. Even Instructor Venn, who'd lost most of his hearing in the Sartak campaign, looked up from his station. The display above the gate was having what I can only describe as a seizure. Numbers flickered faster than thought. Categories blinked in and out of existence. The power classification meter, which normally displayed a calm spectrum from level 1 through level 10, was now cycling through colors I didn't even know it could produce. And there, standing in the scanner arch, looking mildly confused, was a human girl who barely reached my chest plates. She had dark hair pulled into some kind of functional knot, wore a jacket 2 sizes too large, and carried a duffel bag that had definitely seen better days. Her identification band read, Mira Kaine, Earth Sector, First Generation Academy Appetent. She looked about as threatening as a particularly docile moss patch. The scanner disagreed. Violently. Level unknown. The display finally managed to spit out, the words pulsing red against black. Threat assessment. Unable to compute. Recommendation, immediate quarantine. Oh, wonderful. Just what I needed before my second coffee. Sir, one of the processing techs, a nervous Velian named Court, practically teleported to my side. His eye stalks were quivering. Sir, the system, it's never done this before. The protocols say we should initiate lockdown and summon the security division, and possibly evacuate the entire court. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. Breathe. Use your tertiary lung if the primary ones aren't working. He gulped air and nodded. I looked back at the girl. She'd stepped out of the scanner now and was examining it with the kind of mild interest you'd give a malfunctioning vending machine. Not panicked. Not aggressive. Just curious. That was when Cadet Jexon decided to be heroic. Jexon was a Thracian, all scales and overconfidence, standing nearly 2.5 meters tall with muscles that had muscles. He'd scored a solid level 6 on his evaluation, which made him one of the strongest candidates we'd seen all month. It also made him insufferably cocky. Stand back, he bellowed, charging toward the human with all the tactical grace of a falling asteroid. Security breach. I'll handle this threat. Several things happened very quickly. First, the girl turned toward him, with an expression of such profound exasperation, that I almost laughed. Second, Jexon launched himself at her in what was probably meant to be an impressive tackle. Third, time seemed to do something very odd. I'm not being poetic here. Time actually stuttered. One moment Jexon was airborne. 300 kilos of confident Thracian muscle hurtling toward a girl who weighed maybe 60. The next moment she'd moved. Not quickly. That would have been understandable. She moved casually, like someone stepping aside to avoid a puddle, and suddenly Jexon was sailing past her, his trajectory completely unchanged, but his target mysteriously absent. He hit the floor with a crash that echoed through the entire hall. The girl looked down at him, sighed, and muttered something in that bizarre Earth language that my translator rendered as morning cardio wasn't on my schedule but sure. Jexon groaned and tried to get up. That's when his leg gave out. Not collapsed, gave out. As in the bone structure that had supported his considerable weight for his entire life suddenly decided it had other plans. He crumpled, a yelp of pain cutting through the shocked silence. The girl's eyes widened. "Oh no. Oh, you're hurt. I didn't even touch you. How did you?" She dropped her duffel bag and moved toward him. "Stay back," Court squeaked, though he made no move to actually enforce this command. She ignored him completely, kneeling beside Jexon. "Okay, big guy, let me see. Which leg? This one? Yeah, that's definitely not supposed to bend that way. Don't touch me." Jexon managed, though his scales had gone pale with pain. "I'm not going to hurt you," she said, her voice surprisingly gentle, "though you really should have stuck the landing. That was embarrassing for both of us." Then she did something that made every medical officer in the room start forward in alarm. She placed both hands on Jexon's injured leg, right over the breakpoint, and closed her eyes. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then light happened. Soft, golden, and completely wrong according to every known law of physics I'd spent decades studying. It wasn't coming from her hands exactly. It was coming from everywhere and nowhere, centering on the injury site but somehow filling the entire space around them. The light pulsed once, twice, 3 times. Then, it faded. Jexon sat up, eyes wide, moving the leg that had been broken just moments before. He flexed it, tested his weight on it, stood up completely, looking like someone had just explained a magic trick that made perfect sense right up until it didn't. "How?" he started. "You're welcome," the girl said, standing and brushing off her knees. "Next time maybe don't tackle random strangers, just a thought." The hall had gone so quiet I could hear my own cardiac rhythm pounding in my auditory receptors. Medical Officer Stren pushed through the crowd, scanner in hand, and ran it over Jexon's leg. His face went through several interesting color changes. "The fracture is gone, not healed. Gone. The bone structure is actually denser than before. This isn't possible." "And yet," the girl said, retrieving her duffel bag, "here we are. So, did I pass the scanner thing or should I come back another day?" "I can come back. I had to take 3 transport shuttles to get here and the last one smelled like fermented glax, but I can totally do it again if this is a bad time." I found my voice, which had apparently been hiding somewhere behind my second stomach. "What's your name, candidate?" "Mira Kaine. It's on my application. Also on my ID band. Also, I just told the screaming machine, but I don't think it was listening." Sarcasm. The human was using sarcasm. While surrounded by shocked military personnel and at least 3 weapons that had been drawn when I wasn't paying attention, I liked her immediately, which was concerning. "Mira Kaine," I repeated. "I am Commander Tyvik, head of recruitment for the Galactic Defense Academy. You seem to have broken our scanner." "That feels unfair. I just walked through it. It broke itself. And then you healed a compound fracture in under 10 seconds. He seemed uncomfortable. "That's classified level 8 regeneration at minimum. The scanner only goes to level 10. Your scanner needs an upgrade then." She paused. "Also, what's a level 8? Is that good?" I really should have read the information packet more carefully. Instructor Ven had made his way over, his scarred face unreadable. "Commander, with respect, we need to contain this situation. Unknown power levels represent a security risk. Protocol demands we place her in isolation until we can run proper assessments." Mira's expression didn't change, but something in her posture shifted. It was subtle, probably no one else noticed. But I'd spent 40 years reading body language across 100 species, and what I saw made my scales itch. She wasn't afraid. She was calculating. "That won't be necessary," I heard myself say. Ven's head snapped toward me. "She'll be assigned to my personal observation unit. I'll take full responsibility." "Sir, that's highly irregular. So is a scanner malfunction. So is spontaneous bone regeneration. Everything about this morning is irregular. Ven, might as well continue the theme." I turned back to Mira, who was watching me with sharp, intelligent eyes that had probably seen more than her apparent age suggested. "You'll come with me. We'll skip the standard processing. I have questions. I have answers. Some of them might even be true." She hoisted her duffel bag. "Lead the way, Commander." As we walked through the hall, candidates parting like water around us, I noticed something interesting. The scanner had finally stopped screaming. Now it was just displaying a single line of text, repeated over and over. Error 404, classification not found. Behind us, Jexon was still testing his healed leg, wonder and fear mixing on his reptilian features. Court was trying to restart the scanner system. Ven was probably already composing his incident report. And Mira Kaine, the human girl who'd just turned my morning into chaos, was humming something under her breath. My translator couldn't parse it, but it sounded almost cheerful. "So," she said as we entered the corridor toward my office, "does this mean I'm in? Because I really don't want to take those shuttles again." I didn't answer. I was too busy wondering what kind of cosmic joke had just walked through my recruitment gate, and whether I should be grateful or terrified. Probably both. Definitely both. This was going to be a very long day. My office had seen better decades. The walls were still scarred from the vortex incident of 43. My desk had a permanent coffee stain that predated my appointment, and the window overlooked the training yards where cadets were currently failing at basic formation flying. Home sweet, bureaucratic home. Mira Kaine sat in the chair across from my desk, looking around with that same mild curiosity she'd shown the malfunctioning scanner. Her duffel bag rested at her feet, and she'd finally taken off that oversized jacket to reveal a simple grey shirt that had definitely been through multiple wash cycles. "Nice place," she said. "Very lived in. Is that blast scoring on the ceiling or just creative paint choices?" Blast scoring, long story, involves a cadet, a modified pulse rifle, and a very poor understanding of safety protocols. I pulled up her file on my datapad. "Let's talk about you instead. Let's not and say we did." "Mira," she sighed, "fine. But I'm warning you, my life story is incredibly boring. Like watch paint dry while someone reads technical manuals. Boring." I started reading her application. Born on Earth. Colony Sector 7. Parents listed as deceased. Raised by, it just says community home. No formal power training. No academy recommendations. Your test scores are average across the board. Your physical assessment was barely passing, and yet you applied to the most competitive military institution in the galaxy. Yeah, I'm an optimist. It's a character flaw. This doesn't match what I just witnessed. What you witnessed was a very tall idiot deciding to tackle someone half his size. I moved. He fell. Physics happened. Then I felt bad about it. You healed a compound fracture. I helped. Bodies want to heal. I just encouraged his along a little faster. I set down the datapad and looked at her directly with all four eyes. "Stop deflecting. I've been doing this job for 40 years. I've processed candidates from 300 species across 12 sectors. I know when someone is hiding something." She met my gaze without flinching. "Everyone's hiding something, Commander. The question is whether what I'm hiding matters to you." Fair point. Uncomfortably fair. The scanner read you as level unknown. That's never happened before. "Maybe I'm just special," she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Or maybe your fancy machine had a bad morning. Did you try turning it off and on again?" Before I could respond, my door chimed. Then it opened without waiting for permission, which meant either there was an emergency, or Instructor Ven had finally decided to ignore basic courtesy. It was Ven. With company. Behind him stood 3 security officers in full tactical gear, and behind them was someone I really didn't want to see. High Examiner Creel, all 6 of his armored limbs gleaming, his mandibles clicking in that way that meant he was about to make my day significantly worse. "Commander Wren," Krell's voice rattled through his translation collar, "step away from the candidate." Mira glanced at me. "Friend of yours? Colleague? Terrible at parties." "I can hear you both," Krell said, moving into the office. The space suddenly felt much smaller. "Candidate Kaine, you are hereby detained under Regulation 7-4. Unknown power classifications represent potential threat vectors. You will submit to immediate assessment and containment." "I really won't though," Mira said pleasantly. "But thanks for asking." One of the security officers moved forward, neural restraints in hand. "Miss, please don't resist. This will be easier for everyone if you cooperate. She looked at the restraints, then at me. Commander, on a scale of 1 to terrible idea, where does letting them try to arrest me fall? I should have told her to cooperate. I should have followed protocol. I should have done a lot of things that would have looked great in the inevitable investigation report. Instead, I said, historically, probably a 9. Only a 9? I'm an optimist too. The security officer reached for her arm. She didn't move, didn't flinch, just sat there looking vaguely disappointed. And then the officer stopped moving. Not froze, not fell, just stopped, like someone had pressed pause on his existence. His hand was centimeters from her shoulder, his expression locked in concentration, his entire body as still as a statue. What did you do? Krell demanded. Nothing yet, Mira said, but your friend here was about to touch me without permission, and I have personal space issues, so I asked time to wait a second while we clarified boundaries. The other 2 security officers drew their weapons. Neural disruptors, set to stun, probably. The way this morning was going, who knew? Stand down, I said, rising from my chair. Everyone just calm down. She's using unauthorized combat abilities, Ven said. This confirms the threat assessment. What this confirms is that you brought weapons to arrest a girl who's been nothing but cooperative. I moved around my desk, positioning myself between them and Mira. Kala, with respect, you're overreacting. Am I? The scanner indicated level unknown. She just neutralized a trained security officer without moving, and according to Medical Officer Stren's report, she performed regeneration that should require a level 8 classification minimum. We have no data on her upper limits. That makes her dangerous. Or it makes your classification system inadequate, I said. Mira cleared her throat. Can I say something? Or are we doing the whole talk about me like I'm not here thing, because I have opinions about that? Spicky, Krell said. She stood slowly, hands visible, non-threatening. The frozen security officer remained exactly as he was. Here's the thing. I didn't want to come here. I didn't want to apply to your academy or join your military or any of this. But on Earth, if you have abilities and you don't register, they assume you're a criminal. And if you register without joining something official, they assume you're a threat. So I applied, figuring I'd wash in the first round and at least I'd have proof I tried. Then why did you heal the Thracian? I asked. Because he was hurt and I could help. That's not a power classification thing. That's just being a decent person. Decent people don't stop time, Vin said. I didn't stop time. I asked it to wait. There's a difference. Explain that difference, Krell ordered. She looked at him for a long moment. No. The temperature in the room dropped about 10 degrees. Excuse me? I said no. You came in here with weapons and restraints and attitudes, treating me like I'm some kind of weapon instead of a person. You want me to explain how my abilities work so you can figure out how to counter them, contain them, or use them? The answer is no. One of the security officers adjusted his grip on his disruptor. High Examiner, permission to... Denied, Krell said, though his mandibles were clicking faster now. Candidate Kaine, refusing to cooperate will result in your immediate expulsion and potential criminal charges. Okay. Okay? Yeah, okay. Expel me. I'll go back to Earth, tell them I tried, and live my boring life fixing broken things and avoiding government attention. Sounds great, actually. I couldn't help it. I laughed. Actually laughed, which made everyone look at me like I'd grown a fifth eye. Something amusing, Commander? Rel asked coldly, just appreciating the irony. We spend years begging for candidates with real power. Then one walks through our door, and our first instinct is to threaten her. Really selling the whole join the prestigious academy dream. This isn't about recruitment. This is about security. Security from what? She healed someone. She stopped an officer from grabbing her. She's been sarcastic, which isn't a crime last time I checked. What exactly has she done that warrants this response? Crowell's armor plates shifted, a sign of agitation. She represents an unknown variable. So did I when I joined. So did you. So does every single candidate who walks through those gates. Unknown is what we train. It's literally our entire purpose. This is different. Why? Because she's human? Because she doesn't fit into your neat little power classifications? Because she makes your scanner have an existential crisis? Because she could kill everyone in this room without breaking a sweat, Ven said quietly. And we all know it. The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush stone. Mira looked at Ven for a long moment, then nodded. You're right, I probably could. But here's what you're missing. So could you. So could Krill. So could half the cadets in your training yard. Power isn't the variable. Intent is, and my intent is to go home, eat something that isn't shuttle station food, and forget this whole morning happened. She walked toward the frozen security officer, reached out and gently moved his hand away from where it had been reaching for her. I'm going to let time catch up now. When I do, he's going to stumble a little because his momentum won't match his position anymore. Someone should probably catch him. Then she looked at me. Thanks for trying, Commander. Sorry I broke your scanner. Maybe get a better one. She snapped her fingers. The security officer stumbled forward exactly as predicted. His partner caught him, confusion clear on his face. What just? I was reaching for her and then she left, Mira said, picking up her duffel bag. Magic. Very mysterious. Definitely too dangerous for your academy. She was halfway to the door when I made a decision that was either brilliant or career-ending. Accepted. Everyone turned to look at me. What? Mira said. Your application, accepted. Welcome to the Galactic Defense Academy, Cadet Kaine. Report to Barracks 7 for orientation. Classes start tomorrow. Commander, you can't. Krell started. I can and I am. She passed the scanner test. She broke the scanner. Same thing. She demonstrated abilities beyond our classification system, which according to Regulation 42-6 means she automatically qualifies for advanced placement. Or did you want me to cite more regulations? Because I wrote half of them. Ven was shaking his head. This is a mistake. Probably, but it's my mistake to make. I looked at Mira. Well, you coming or going? She stood there, duffel bag in hand, clearly trying to decide if I was serious. You realize I'm going to be nothing but trouble. I'm counting on it. This place could use some chaos. I think you mean excitement. I know what I said. A smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. Real this time. Okay then. But when this goes horribly wrong, I'm blaming you. Fair enough. Quell's mandibles were clicking so fast they were practically humming. This conversation isn't over, Commander. Yes, it is. Now if you'll excuse me, I have a new cadet to process, and you have a scanner to fix. They left eventually, though Ven shot me a look that promised future arguments. The security officers went with them, still looking confused about their missing time. When we were alone, Mira dropped back into the chair. So that happened. That happened, I agreed. You really want me here? Even after all that? Especially after all that? Someone who can stop time and heal injuries and still chooses kindness over violence? That's exactly who should be here. I didn't stop time. I asked it to wait. What's the difference? She smiled. If I told you, I'd have to kill you, and we just established I don't do that. I pulled up her official acceptance forms. You're going to be interesting, Cadet Kaine. That's what I'm afraid of. Outside my window, cadets were still failing at formation flying. The scanner was probably still displaying error messages, and somewhere in the administration building, Grell was definitely composing a very angry memo. Just another day at the academy. Except now we had a human who could ask time to wait. This was either going to be brilliant or catastrophic. I was betting on both.